What is going on? That was weird. That was the fake eye from last night. We are at I just had it pulled up and I closed it. All right. I'm going to type the number 233.95. I am at 3,800 hours watched currently. So, yay. So that's kind of awesome. It says I have 3 people. I'm going to need more than that though. I have snacky treats. I'm not going to be able to go as late as I want to tonight because I found my lover. I'm gonna have a threesome with this. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the sleep. But it doesn't mean we can't get creepy. Yeah, only 161, and to be honest, looking at it, even my lowest streams get like 300 to 600. That one has 56. Does it give me like an average? It doesn't really give me an average. I'd say it's, my average is usually around 2.5K per video. So, but that doesn't sound right either. Oh, that's minutes. That's 2,500 minutes. So yeah, I only need 161, and I'm at 5,000 or 4,000. So right now we're drinking Brisk Fruiteria. I think this is their attempt to bring back, do you remember those fruit drinks? Fruitopia? Maybe that's the same thing. It's mango. It's pretty good. So yesterday I was trying to pop my elbow right here. I did something and it's all through here. It's real tense. I can feel it when I go like that. It's real tense right through here. But that's all right. But yeah, let's see if we can get some people in here. Or whatever. Do people not see that I'm live? Did I join? No? Whatever. Now there's 24 people online. I know 24 of them got that. I don't think 24 of them actually are going to see that though. So I got Reese's peanut butter cups. I like to eat the edges. Some weirdo. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. We will start with creepy stories in a little bit. I'm just having some of these peanut butter cups. Cause nom. Back in WW nom. Oh, not yet. It's my sleep drink up there. Gotta get my sugar now because I know that this guy doesn't have sugar in it. Anyways, like I was saying, so close to 4,000. We just gotta work on the subscribers then. Or I gotta work on them. So I changed rooms. I went from right there to here. No more trains. I get the highway on this side. But whatever. See if that driver ever installed it. It failed. Okay, I don't care. It failed. Make sure that program's closed. Don't care. Don't care. Actions recommended. What do you recommend me do? View health report. Not going to do that either. Alright, we're good. Someone asked for Japanese horror, but she's not in here right now. Hey, MLS. It goes well. I'm super close to 4,000 hours viewed, and I think we'll hit it tonight. So, I don't know if I get any special privileges with that one. Privileges with that one. Let me see. Let me see. I get nothing. Nope. Let me see here. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Dashboard, video manager. I think it's dashboard on this one. No. Community and analytics. Oh, let's go to the new analytics. I think maybe it shows there too. Hey, Sleek. Into you, my friend. Oh, there we go. Nope. Nothing there. No, I don't get anything for 4,000 hours. I gotta get the 1,000 subs also. But that's half of the equation, right? That's kind of awesome. Alright, this is gonna have to move. I need to stretch my elbow out. There we go. Oh yeah, stretch it out. Ah. Alright, so you guys ready for some creepy stories? I know I am. At 7:40 p.m. So if you're in a well-lit area, shut your blinds and hop on your computer or your phone and let's see if we can get creeped out a little bit, huh? It's kind of awesome. Let's see, which story is this? It's a long one. I think I read this one. Yeah, I did. That was a pretty good one. Northern Lights. I liked that last night. Jeez. Gestures on my phone are being weird. More stories. Please be a short one. Please be a short one. Please be a 17 god dang minutes. It looks like I'm gonna have to start reading the longer ones now. And I can't say I'm super stoked about that. But we're gonna get through it together. Can y'all hear me just fine? Am I too loud? Bridget? Hey Bridget, you're gonna lurk? Well, that's fine. We are super close to the 4,000 hour mark. I'm super stoked about that. So how's the audio, guys? Can y'all, loud and clear and all that jazz? This one's called Empty House. It's got a really good rating. It's a long one, so bear with me. You know the deal. You know I don't always get the words right. Just, it doesn't always happen. This movie needs to stop playing. Block element. Blocked. Nope. You didn't want to do that, huh? Let's try that again. Yeah, add that. It just changed the movie, that's all it did. Holy crap, it's not doing it. Ad block is wigging out. That's fine. Anyways, this is called Empty House. It's a very high rated story. It was published the 24th of October 2013. Surely it can't be as long as Been Drowned or anything like that, right? Thank you. Thank you, Bridget. So, let's do this. There we go. Alright. Even years later, I can still remember that day. It was the first and last time I ever went out to the movies alone. The last time I went out to the movies ever. I don't feel like I'm missing all that much, really. The movies never had been a big part of my life. I vaguely recall going out to the theater a couple times with my mom and dad when I was little, but other than that, I had never really cared much about seeing movies in the theater. That day, however, was different. I had seen the trailers for Massacre at Willow Peak, and despite the somewhat cheesy title, it looked good. The trailers promised that it was more than just some cheesy slasher movie, and several critics attested that the movie was more legitimately frightening horror movie to come out of Hollywood in years. I've never been a huge movie buff, but it looked good to me. I didn't want to wait for it to come out on DVD, so I decided I might as well go to the theater. I could use a little outing anyway. Of course, first, I'd actually have to find a way to get out to the theater. Looking back, it's actually rather funny how adamantly my mother didn't want me going out to the movies that day. It's been years since then, and she still says that she had a bad feeling that day. It's been years since... No. Sorry. It's all rubbish, of course. In reality, it was just Mom being her usual overprotective self. It just so happened it was the first time her paranoia was justified. You'd have a hard time telling her that, though. Even today, she still uses that day as a cautionary tale for why boys should listen to their mothers. When I first told my mother I wanted to go, she simply told me that my dad was tired and wouldn't be able to take me. I asked my dad, though, and he said it'd be fine. He needed to pick up some groceries anyways. My mother next said that it was too late. She only ever went to the movies during the matinee hours, And I said that I would pay for the movie myself, though, and she was so forced to relent on that front. That was where things started to get nasty, as they always did when my mother didn't get her way. "Who goes to the movies alone?" I remember she said. "You're supposed to go to the movies with friends and family. You look like a freak when you go to the movies alone." Jeez, I go to the movies alone. I feel bad now. God. I had no idea why she was being so adamant about it, but her attempts to stop me were only strengthening my resolve to go. I was a 16-year-old boy, for crying out loud, and it was a Friday night. Luckily, Dad was on my side, and after a few more minutes of vain arguments, we were grabbing our coats and getting ready to go. Mom gave me a bottle of pepper spray as I left, which I reluctantly shoved in my pocket. I pulled my coat around me a little as I stepped out the car into the cool autumn air. It had rained recently. Technically speaking, it still was, but it was only a drizzle. The air was still humid and moist. Cold and humid was a combination I could go without. I hated the odd, clammy feeling that it gave me. And so I said a passing goodbye to my dad as he drove away quickly, and I made my way to the building. I didn't go so quickly that I forgot to stop for a moment and take the silhouette of the Golden Reel Theater. The Golden Reel Theater had a long history in my town and had been there nearly since its inception. It was sad that the theater has fallen on hard times recently. Netflix and newer movie theaters across town having taken away the significant portion of the clientele. That being said, it wasn't any serious state of disrepair. It had been, and if it had been, I probably wouldn't have been going to it. There's just a few problems. There were little cracks in the wood floor and the bricks were rough in places, and where the paint had fallen off. The giant sign that was supposed to read Golden Reel in golden letters had lost some of its sheen and was fading day by day to a dull yellow. Normally, I wouldn't mind such small imperfections, but the dim orange light of the sunset seemed to exaggerate the building's flaws, stifling its old-time charm and giving it an ominous feeling. Stifling? Probably stifling. I couldn't help but think that this was the perfect place to see a horror movie, since that place looked like it might very well be haunted. That feeling didn't decrease in the slightest as I entered the building. Having seen a sign at the ticket booth reading, "Please purchase tickets at concession stand," I guessed that it was because the clammy weather. I didn't think twice about it as I went inside. I did feel strange though, just walking past the deserted podium where they normally take your ticket. When I got inside, there was a single worker standing behind the concession stand. Our eyes met as I walked up to the counter. The manager must have gone home early. There was something haunted about the sight of an empty movie theater. A movie theater is supposed to be full of bustling. A movie theater is supposed to be bustling place full of people excited about a movie they're going to see, or have just seen. Seeing it empty, the way it was, devoid of a single soul other than the man at the concession stand and myself, was more than a little sad. "It looks so hollow," I said, more to myself than the clerk at the counter. "Empty house tonight," replied the man, tapping out one last message on his cell phone before pocketing it. Those words, "empty house," I still remember them even now. The way he said them so nonchalantly, completely apathetic to the sadness they contained. "There's nobody here at all?" I asked. He sighed, seemingly annoyed at the thought of actually having to deal with a customer. "There's like 2 people in there," he said after a moment. "Hey, Lauren." Rolled his eyes at me and added, "So I guess you wanted tickets, right?" When I first walked into the theater, I thought I was the only one there. I was a bit early, as I tended to be. The screen vision was still on. I sat there, closed my eyes, and reclined in the old yet comfortable seat. It was only after a few minutes that I detected something strange. I could hear an odd sound, a strange current underneath the inane chatter of screen vision. At first I thought the sound was mechanical, a broken vent or something giving off a rhythmical breathing sound. It was low, and I could just barely hear it. But it still worried me a bit. I looked around seeing if I could see the source, and as I looked behind me I saw that I was not alone in the theater as I had originally thought. In the very back row there was a man. I assumed he was homeless when I first saw him because of the way he was dressed. He was garbed in layers of tattered rags and looked like they had been worn to the point of throwing away. On his outermost layer he had a thick black coat that looked like it had been made of a nice leather at one point. His long and tangled black hair was the most part covered by the large brown hat that he, somewhat rudely, was still wearing inside. His face was almost wholly obscured by the combination of ratty old scarf and what looked like a medical mask. It struck me as odd, a homeless man being in the theater. I wondered what he was doing, spending what little money he had on a movie rather than food and shelter. But it quickly dawned on me that he most likely snuck in. It wasn't as if that had been the difficult one with one lone employee manning the concession stand. I don't know why, but his presence disturbed me somehow. Maybe it was the fact that he seemed so out of place, or maybe it was the fact that I was alone in the theater with him. But I just didn't feel right being near him. That, along with the strange sound that I was still yet to place, was starting to make me a bit nervous. I wondered if maybe I should have taken my mom's advice and stayed in. I sat there for a few moments to regain my calm while waiting for the movie to start. It was a vain effort though, as every breath I took only made me feel more anxious. After a bit it dawned upon me that I had forgotten to buy snacks. Really, it was just an excuse to get up and walk around. Nonetheless, I decided to go get myself some popcorn from the concession stand. As I got up, I saw the man turn and look at me. Our eyes met, and I thought I heard him say something in the distance. It wasn't a very large theater, but he was in the back row and I was near the front. Once more he attempted to say something, and this time I was sure I heard him. I didn't really want to, but he was obviously trying to say something to me, and so, against my better judgment, I walked up the aisle towards the man. As I got closer to him, I started noticing several things. He was indeed wearing a medical mask, one that was splotched with some yellow stain. I preferred not to speculate about what it was. His entire body was covered in sweat. Most of his skin was hidden by clothing, but I could see the perspiration beading up on his face, and there were dark stains forming on his chest, even though the multiple sweaters he wore. What skin he did show was pale and ruddy. His eyes were jaundiced, and despite having rather broad shoulders, he had a general look of sickness about it. I can read jaundice. I can't read sicklessness. About him, I assumed this was the reason for the medical mask. I'd always been a bit of a germaphobe, and so being around this guy was starting to turn my stomach. The most sickening thing about him, though, was his breathing. I originally thought it sounded something mechanical. And listening to the eerie noise emanating from the man's throat, I realized that no one could fault me for not recognizing the sound as being human in origin. It was low, slow wheezing that poured rhythmically from his throat. But there were also wet gurgling sounds underneath it. It was a type of wheeze when you have a lot of mucus in your throat. And I was briefly reminded of my Aunt Valerie, who had whooping cough. He wasn't coughing, though, just sort of gurgling. The yellow strain on his mask suddenly made more sense. Where are you going?" he asked. I suddenly snapped to attention. "Hello." Realizing that I had been staring at the man. "To the concession stand," I replied automatically. It never even occurred to me that it was none of his business. Can you go for me too?" the man asked. It took me a few seconds to realize that he wanted to go to the concession stand for him. There was something off about the way he spoke. His voice was rather high-pitched and soft. He never seemed to speak above a whisper. That wasn't the most peculiar thing about it, though. No. The most off-putting thing was that his voice was the pain it seemed to cause him, as if it hurt him just to speak. It also reminded me of the time that I was younger and had strep throat. I remember back then it hurt even to swallow, something as simple as water, let alone speak. The pained expression in his yellow eyes combined with his rather severe shudder made me feel bad for the man. It did appease my apprehension, though. It didn't. Sorry. "I have money," he said, apparently seeing the look of uncertainty in my face. He began digging around through his trouser pockets, but seemed to be having some trouble. I noticed that he seemed to be wearing more than one pair of pants, and that the outer layers seemed to be straining at the seams. After a bit of struggling, he finally stood up in order to allow himself easier access to his pockets. I didn't realize before now how large this man was. I noticed his rather broad shoulders, but I hadn't anticipated how tall he'd be. As he stood there digging in his pockets, I estimate that he must have been at least 6'7", but I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if he was over 7 feet. He found his money, and then, much to his dismay, began walking over towards me. He seemed to get taller with every lumbering step he took in my direction. I looked upon him, and he held out a large hand with a few dollar bills in them. Without thinking, I reached out and took the dollar bills from him. His hand was thick and calloused all over. He seemed to have some sores on his palms, and the tips of his fingers were crusted with what looked like some sort of rash. I took the money from his hand, never even thinking about the fact that I had never actually agreed to go to the concession stand for him. At that point, with his massive form towering over me, I probably would have agreed to anything. What do you want?" I asked him. He looked down at me for a moment. There was silence. I looked into his jaundiced eyes as the abnormal sound of breathing spread throughout the theater. "2 large lemonades and a chocolate bar," he said eventually. I nodded in reply. Now that he was standing so close to me, I began to pick up a rancid scent coming from the man. It was slight, but it was there. It smelled almost like spoiled milk. Like everything else about this man, though, it was layered. Underneath the spoiled smell, there was something else. It was familiar, but I couldn't quite place what it was. I honestly just wanted to get away from the man as quickly as possible. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome," I replied, smiling the best I could manage. With that, I turned and did my best to maintain a normal walking pace as I walked down the stairs and out the theater. A huge wave of relief came over me as I walked into the lobby. I looked down at the money and what he'd given me. It was dark and soggy, with what I can only hope was sweat. Not only that, but it looked like he'd only given me about $4, not nearly enough for the snacks he wanted. As I walked up to the concession stand, I considered what to do. Honestly, if I had a car, I probably would have just dumped the money in the garbage, driven home, and washed off my hands about 1,000 times over. Hey, Seanta. I didn't have a car, though, and if I wanted to go home, I would have to call my father and ask him to come get me. Normally that would be no big deal, but my dad wasn't at home at the moment. He was at the grocery store, and that was in the opposite direction from the theater. If I was lucky, assuming he just dropped everything and came immediately, he might be there in about 45 minutes. If the lights were with him, an hour if they weren't. It wasn't so much the wait that bothered me. It was more the fact that an hour would be more than enough time for the large man in the theater to get irritated and come looking for his snacks. He might even think that I'd run off with his money he'd given me. Did not want to make that man angry. As I walked up to the concession stand, the man at the counter gave me yet another disdainful look. Clearly upset at actually having to do his job. His expression changed, though, when I put damp money down on the counter along with some of my own. "So I guess you met him," said the concession worker, a knowing look in his eye. He seemed to get a bit nervous at mentioning the man. "Man, that guy came in here earlier and paid for his ticket with a bunch of soggy money. I would have turned him down if the guy wasn't the size of a house." I nodded as I ordered the man's concessions. I wasn't feeling very hungry, so I just ordered a water for myself. "I mean, did you see that guy? He's wearing all these clothes like he came out of a trash can somewhere. And he's got all those sores. It's like he was deformed, like he was a leper or something. Did you smell him? Guy smells like fish. Like rotting old fish, seriously. All the years I've been working here, I've never seen a freak like that." The concession worker continued on as I went about preparing my order. It was hard to make out his tone. He seemed both amused and nervous at the same time. "I don't want to live, how you doing?" What is your actual name? I don't know that name. Is that you, Cougar? You messed me up. I don't know where I'm at now. I don't know who I don't want to live is. It is Cougar? Yay, look at me, I guessed it right. My handle just went. Ah, a really creepy story here, do you mind? God. The concession worker continued on as he went about preparing my order. It was hard to make out his tone. He seemed both amused and nervous at the same time. Damn it. I don't know. Weird. This was clearly the most novel thing that had ever happened to him the entire evening, but at the same time it seemed like the man was scared of him a little in the same way he scared me. Am I killing a fly? No, I heard something. Like someone went with my door handle, but I looked, there was no one there. I'm not going to touch that yet, Lauren. You got to get a map. Make a map. And if there was a bed in there, it'll take you to where your last bed was. I personally couldn't help but think about his choice of words. Deformed, like a leper. I started to think about the man's circumstances. Maybe he couldn't help the way he looked. Maybe he had a genetic disorder or something. If that was the truth, then what right did we have treating him the way we were? He had just as much right to enjoy the movies as anyone else did. I took the concessions when the worker gave them to me. I made my way back to the theater. I still couldn't help but feel nervous as I walked back into the now darkened theater. There was something about that man, sort of aura of uneasiness that he gave off. Hey, Kevin. I walked up the stairs and realized that the man was sitting a few rows closer than he had been before. I tried to shrug it off as nothing, but my mind wouldn't let me. I noticed the smell again as I got closer to him. He had stripped off his large leather jacket, which seemed to be unleashing the smell. Just as the concession worker said, I could indeed smell a unique aroma of fish. It wasn't quite as bad as he made it out to be, but it was definitely there. I also noticed the way his shirts were pulled tight around his thick arms. Now that the jacket was gone, I could clearly make out his massive shoulders and barrel chest moving rhythmically with his obscene, gurgling breaths. He had removed his scarves as well, and I could see that the same red rash was on his fingers, was also covering his neck, an almost scaly appearance. Summoning up the courage, I walked over to the man and handed him his food. He helped me in his pained he thanked me in his pained whispered of a voice. When I went back to my seat, making sure that it was decently away from the man, I tried not to think about him. I tried to concentrate on the movie trailers that were flashing across the screen. It was useless, though. Putting him out of sight only seemed to set my mind more firmly. All I could think about was him sitting there behind me. I couldn't see him, couldn't see what he was doing. For all I knew, while I was watching the screening, he could be watching me. My hands were starting to sweat, and I realized that they still felt sickly and odd from handling the money the man had given me earlier. I remembered the crusted rash that had been on his fingers and decided that I desperately needed to wash my hands. Using this as an excuse myself, I got up and walked out the theater, this time not trying to hide in speed. This time not even trying to hide the speed in which I did so. As I turned to leave, I looked back and perhaps I was just imagining it, but I swore I could have seen the man sitting a row or two closer to me that he had been when I sat down. I washed my hands as thoroughly as possible when I got to the bathroom. I made the water as hot as I could without scalding myself, using liberal amounts of soap. By the time I was done, my fingers were starting to prune up. I splashed some water on my face and grabbed the paper towel from the dispenser. For a few minutes, I just stared down at my cell phone, wondering what to do. Dad would probably still be at the grocery store at this point. I felt nervous, but also childish. I had made such a big deal about coming here. And now I was going to call my dad to come pick me up because I couldn't deal with the stranger. I sighed to myself and thought about what to do. When I walked back into the theater, I realized that the man had moved again. He was sitting in my row. I had no idea why, but I knew it was my row because he was sitting just a couple seats away from where I had left my drink. I thought briefly about what to do. I couldn't sit in a different row. If I did, it would be obvious that I was just If I did, it would be obvious that what I was doing to avoid him, especially since my drink was still in that row, indicating where I had been. This guy was about 3 times my size, and I really didn't want to make him angry. Reluctantly, I went back to my seat and sat down. The man said nothing, although I could see through the corner of my eye that he turned in my direction. I kept my eyes firmly pointed at the screen. The movie began quietly, and so it was easy for me to hear the crinkling of the man unwrapping his chocolate bar. I'm really not sure why, but somehow curiosity got the better of me. I found myself slowly turning my head to look at the man. He had taken his medical mask down in order to eat, and I saw, much to my disgust, that the same rash had covered his fingers and neck and spread to his mouth. His lips were dark, like a lifetime of smokers, and his nose seemed to hang awkwardly on his face as if it had been broken a time and healed improperly. None of these things were what made me leave the theater, though. What made me leave the theater was the fact that as he leaned in to take a bite of chocolate, I saw his mouth was a row of sharp, pointed teeth. Without hesitation, I instantly got out of my seat and headed for the door, not even bothering to grab my drink. As I left, I saw the man putting his mask and jacket back on. I felt a pang of guilt, though, as though I might have made him feel bad about his appearance. But my fear overcame my guilt, and I walked out of the theater, out of the building, to the far end of the lot without further delay. Then I called my father and asked him to come pick me up. When my dad asked me why I wanted to leave, I told him that it was because I felt really sick, something that wasn't entirely a lie. I didn't really notice it until I got to the open air, but being stuck in that theater with that man had been making me steadily more and more nauseous. I didn't know whether it was the sight or the smell of the man that had done it, but I knew that had anything been in my stomach, it most likely would have been splattered all over the pavement at this point. My father made good time and got there in about 30 minutes. I never asked him, but I'd always had a feeling that he drove a bit faster, having heard the fear in my voice on the phone. I didn't tell him about the man straight away, as I still felt childish for even calling him to come get me. A sheltered little brat couldn't deal with the stranger. I honestly hoped that I could just go to bed and forget the entire incident, that maybe someday I would look back on it and laugh. That didn't happen. Two days later, the police showed up on my doorstep. They brought me in for questioning, asked me to tell them everything about that night at the movies. I wondered why they cared, or how they even know I'd been to the movies, but I told them everything I knew regardless. I told them about the man, about his rotten smell, about his deformities, his whispering voice, and about how he made me physically ill just being around him. They didn't believe me at first, but a similar looking man showed up on the movie theater security cameras, a few that actually worked. Eventually they told me that they were investigating several disappearances that occurred that night.
Specifically, all 12 of the assorted staff and patrons that had been at the movies that night had gone missing, with the exception of the clerk that had been working the counter. He was found mauled as if some animal had torn him apart. He was still in critical condition at the hospital and in no state to answer questions. Hey, Warrior. It was the first time anything like this had ever happened in our small town. The public ate it up. They ate up the mystery. And the demand of information made me into somewhat of a local celebrity, much to my disdain. People were constantly asking me for interviews, and every time I told them my story, I started to wish more and more that I could just forget it. I kept hoping that something else would happen that would grab the people's attention, that the story would just quietly fade so I can go back to a normal life. 2 years later, I moved out of state for college. I was always intending for it to be a temporary situation, although I'd move back home once things quieted down for a bit, but they didn't. Quite the opposite, actually. The story that night grew into some sort of urban legend among the youth of the town. I still go home sometimes for holidays and such to visit my family. I visited the clerk in the hospital once. He was better, but he seemed to have contracted some sort of strange disease. He developed a strange rash on his lips and fingers and around his mouth. He didn't talk much either, because according to the doctors, he developed a painful sores on his throat and mouth that oozed a strange yellow pus. The doctors were baffled. I didn't visit him after that. For the most part, I'm happy where I am, nice and far away from the coastline. I've managed to build a good life here from the rumors and the talk. I've got a decent car and a good job and some average friends, a nice normal life. The only odd thing is, whenever my friends ask me to go out to the movies, I always decline. I never told them why I don't intend to anytime soon. Whenever they ask me, I just look off in the distance and tell them I'll catch it on DVD. I feel like that could have been a lot shorter. Yeah, that was almost an hour. It says the story 17 minutes. That's why I don't read long stories. It's almost time to go take a smoke break. How are you guys doing? How many people we got in here? We have 9 people. For those of you who don't know, I'm close to the big 4,000, the 4,000 hour mark. I'm super stoked about that. So it's 8:20. I'm not gonna go that late tonight. I plan on if you know what you probably can't see it that well, but I know you can now. Oh yeah. I'm gonna get some good sleep. Y'all like that one, huh? God bless it, it was a long one. Well, I've got another one. I'm gonna go take a smoke break, but this one's called The Haunted Game Boy Camera. If some of you want to read it a little bit. What was happening in the story? Had the guy taken his mask off and he was eating the chocolate? What's that one orange sleep can? Yeah, this is Neuro Sleep. This is my sleep drink that they took this freaking sugar out of, and then this is Advil PM. 2 of these and 1 of these, and I'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, if y'all don't mind, I'll be on my phone. You can see me. I know that's the delay y'all get. Wait, watch. Wait for it. There it is. Basically, the person was getting a ride for him from his dad. Oh, no. So, no, his dad came and got him. Didn't ask any questions. And then, a couple days later, the police came and asked him some questions. There had been some missing people. But alright, guys. If y'all don't mind, I'm going to be talking to y'all on this thing. But I'm going to take a quick smoke break.
I'm sorry. Oh, that was my crappy attempt at a jump scare. Oh. Clowns. That did not scare you. Oh. Make your ears bleed, maybe. So, yeah, grow long hair for the kids. Do it. It's cool. You'll eat your hair. I'm sorry. No. Wait, what is it? What's the one that makes me fart? Or it makes me laugh at? Thumb sharks? Oh man. I could not get right that night. I lost myself laughing. You didn't do it, it was another Ashley? Fair enough. Nothing? Oh, him. Okay. So this is the story we're doing. Let me get the Reese's out of my mouth. Although I don't want to. That bitter, sweet, salty. They got it right. It's the perfect candy. It really is the perfect candy. I hope y'all are having a good time. We're going to continue this for maybe one or two more stories. Yeah, maybe I'll go to bed at 10. 10 rolls around. Maybe 11 or 12. It's fine. Wait, I think I can do this. Hang on. How's that, warrior? I'm gonna wait a second for you to respond. Hey, Delaney, what's happening? That's specifically warriors. Wait, why is it mine? Oh, is it a different warrior? I don't know. It's a different warrior. Maybe. But it's another warrior. It's perfect. So anyways, you got a shower, BRB, leaving stream on, right on. So let's, earballs. Yeah, he eats stuff. Yeah, not you, but Gonna build a sandcastle and ignore. He likes to eat inanimate objects, so no, like a dog or a cat or something. Oh jeez, what? Yeah, my channel. Holy crap! Really, YouTube? What is this? No. YouTube's stupid right now. Y'all probably can't see me that well, but whatever. I'm all dark. Whatever. What's poppin', Jimbo? Chinese restaurants are good though. I don't know what y'all are. I'm lost now. Farting while wearing a thong in C minor. Oh, that's. I think people muted my @everyone on my server. I think I do it too much. Whatever. So this is the haunted Game Boy camera. So let's get started on that. I'll never ask for anything else again. I swear, Mom. As kids, we've all said that at one point. We find something that seems the most amazing item in the world and we just have to have it no matter what. For me, it was the newest handheld, a Game Boy Color. It was the most beautiful thing to a 6-year-old, especially when all my friends were getting theirs. Growing up with 4 brothers and sister, and not especially well off, my parents did their best, but we were struggling to get by most of the time. They did their best to give us comforts and toys, but new electronics were out of the question. Hell, we were still working off an old television that still used rabbit ears. I was the youngest of 5 of us, so that meant a lot of hand-me-downs as well. I was used to it, but still had some resentment to my siblings, of course, still begging for the Game Boy Color. They said they would do their best, and bless their hearts. Shortly after my birthday, my mom and dad had presented me with a box. It was a surprise, but they said they had found something they knew I wanted very badly, and I had been good. My heart raced with excitement as I tore open the box, but sank in the pit of my stomach. It was not a Game Boy Color. This poor excuse of a handheld was badly abused original Game Boy. It looked like it had been bitten and melted by something in the corners. It was stained. Up on top, a strange camera stuck out from the cartridge inserted inside. When I picked it up, it read Game Boy Camera. They'd somehow managed to find it with a crappy little printer as well, complete with fading printer paper. You see, Daddy and I found it at a garage sale. That's exactly the kind you wanted. It even has a cool little camera to take pictures. Oh, you bastards. They put a link in the story, and it was not for the camp. If y'all know what it is, whatever. I'm not sure if it was the fact that I was the first thing that had ever been given to me first,
And it's still someone else's piece of junk, or the fact that I had no actual idea what I had wanted, or they had no actual idea what I wanted, or maybe they had just decided it was too much, so a replacement would suffice, and I would not know the difference. But in my utter disappointment, I threw the worst tantrum I had ever seen since I was a toddler. I tossed the box on the ground and cried my eyes out, screaming how they were awful, and they didn't want this, and that I didn't want this, and I wanted my Game Boy Color. Well, you can imagine how that turned out. I got a good whipping from my father in front of all my siblings, and a long lecture on gratefulness and how hard they work. In punishment for my selflessness, they gave my gift to my brother Ryan, only a couple years older than me. I was so angry and I didn't care, though, and was happy to be rid of the thing. Ryan, being the jerk he was, teased me about it endlessly. It was a few days after that he had figured out the camera and printed on it. He would tease me from his room, talked about how he could play with all his cool system. I was too little and bratty to ever touch it. I would either yell back at him or slam the door in my room and ignore it. Shortly after, though, I heard him leave his room and call out to our mom, claiming the printer was acting weird. She was busy making lunch and told him it was probably due to it being used, and to keep trying to see if it would fix itself. I heard him go back to his room and go back to our little sister later. And go back out a little bit later, saying it was probably busted and that he was going to go to his friend's house. Wondering what was wrong with it, I snuck into his room and found the papers lying on his bed. He had taken photos of himself, making weird faces in the camera. The game system had been turned off as expected. The first few pictures were normal. Then they changed into strange faces that everyone knew about. The way the printer paper was stained, they looked even weirder. As I looked down at the later pictures, though, they looked different. Obviously, the camera in the game was not the greatest, so it was sometimes hard to see details of someone's face, or it would look blocky and blurry. The later pictures, however, seemed to change. It wasn't just scribbles or silly words written on his face. His features seemed to change. There were dark spots around his eyes and mouth. His expression didn't look goofy anymore. Instead, it looked scared. Every picture seemed to change it more and more. Eventually, the pictures changed to where it didn't even look like he was holding the camera anymore, but that someone was taking the picture of him. He got farther and farther away. What seemed to be a horrible story unfolded. It was showing Ryan running from the camera. The last picture was showing Ryan's face, half missing, dark pixels spilled out from the side of his head and lying on the ground. I didn't know what to think. I didn't even know the little camera was capable of things like this. It frightened me immensely, and I jumped from the bed and ran to my mom, telling her about the pictures. She didn't believe me and got angry that I was playing after my behavior. She scolded me and sent me back to my room. I was too nervous to be angry, though. I wondered what was wrong with the Game Boy. Why did it print those pictures? Horn dog, calm down. I was immensely relieved when Ryan came back that night for dinner. He seemed fine, and after that night he convinced himself there must have been a problem with the system, since it was so beaten up, some kind of error. At some point later in the week, Ryan tried again to take his picture. I heard him call it a piece of junk and chuck it into the drawer. He threw all the pictures he had taken in the trash. Horn dog, if you were in Discord, you would know I was live. I didn't think much of the Game Boy and the camera until the week after. I had been coloring in my room when I heard a terrible scream from outside and the sound of brakes squealing to a stop. Immediately, we all jumped up and ran outside to find what had happened. Along with our neighbors, the sight that greeted us is still burned into my memory. Ryan had gone to walk across the street to his friend's house, just as he would any other day. A man had come speeding down the street and hit him. He had been pulled under the car, and his head half crushed under the tires as the man hit his brakes. My older brother's brain and skull was splattered under a pool of blood soaking into the street. I still remember the cry of agony and horror my mother let out. The rage and grief in my father's eyes as he pulled the man from the car and shouted at him, asked him what in the hell he was doing to hit a child. My sister pulled me back inside, trying to comfort me and shield me from the sight. But the damage was done. I had seen exactly what the picture had showed me and knew that Game Boy camera had been the cause. And my naivety, being naive, I tried to tell them, hoping they would believe me. They didn't believe me at all, and it made one of my sisters fall apart. The next few weeks were miserable. My parents were inconsolable. My mother could barely take care of the house and us. My eldest sister, Andrea, took over the role and struggling with it, angry with us, dealing with her own grief. She had also took over cleaning out Ryan's side of the room that he shared with his older brother, with my older brother. God bless it, I'm having a hard time. Sorry, I'll fix it. Okay. At some point, she found the Game Boy and Game Boy camera and asked if I wanted it. I told her it was cursed and that it had killed Ryan. She said that I was being cruel to our parents by turning their gift that was meant for me into a guilt trip, and that I needed to stop being so selfish. The funeral for Ryan caused even more money stress on the family, and slowly, even at the young age I was, I could see we were not able to handle any of it well. I did my best at that point to keep out of trouble and didn't say anything more about the Game Boy camera. I don't know when she took them, but at some point I guess I needed a distraction. From trying to hold up the house, I went into my sister's room to find a missing sock and thought maybe it had landed in her clothing. Her trash can had the same printer paper in it. An ice cold sweat came over my body when I realized I couldn't stop myself. I reached in and looked at the pictures. They were the same. Andrea's face slowly transformed the looks of horror and began showing off her grotesque and terrifying position that I could only assume was a clue on how she would die. In the end pictures, her face was barely recognizable and her skin was black. It was definitely sure now that this thing had to be destroyed. I thought to myself that maybe if I could destroy it, I could save my sister from the same fate. I tore her room apart searching for the Game Boy. Eventually I found it in the printer. As I held it in my hand, something chilling happened. It turned on. The screen flashed the logo and it began to make noises and music. The sound was wrong, as though it were being played backwards. I had been looking straight at it, and suddenly my face appeared on the screen. It began to print. In my panic state, I went to shut it off, but found the button was down already. It should not have been running. I then proceeded to rip the printer paper out of the game system. The Game Boy began to spark an error, while the printer spewed out ink all over Andrea's bed. I felt it heat up in my hands and dropped it, watching the screen begin to smoke and the sparks fly out from both the Game Boy and the printer. After a minute or two, it seemed to die. Needless to say, I got in major trouble when my sister came home and found her bed sheets stained with ink and the system broken. My parents were furious and forbid me from going out with my friends at all, as well as no TV. I was now considered very irresponsible and not allowed to touch any of my siblings' things. It didn't matter though. I had saved her from a horrible fate and cursed system was gone. Or so I thought. I think back and realize that if everything I did, the thing that may have saved me was not letting the paper finish. 6 months later, my sister was killed when she was driving home and slipped on something in the road, crashing her car and being trapped inside it as it caught fire. When the police came to my parents, they had told them that she was burned beyond recognition, and the only reason they knew it was her because she was driving my dad's car. I couldn't save her. I didn't dare tell my parents about the pictures. I don't think they would have believed me anyways. Years have passed and we've grown up. My parents never really recovered from Ryan and Andrea's death, and they still have to struggle immensely. The three of us take care of them now, though we still have old Rabbit Ears television for comfort's sake. There's still one thought that haunts me and makes it hard for me to sleep at night. I never found out what they did with the broken Game Boy, the camera and printer. I pray to God every night that the damn thing made its way into some kind of trash compactor, or it's tangled with the plastic floating in the ocean. I fear they still want to have it to use and to donate it, or sold it for parts. And they will see what it was trying to print of me. And that's the haunted Game Boy camera. Ooh. And it's already almost 9 o'clock. Holy crap. Hey, Tom. So Tom's saying you've got to find a partner that looks at creepypastas like this, trying to study them with the deadpan. I'm gonna see if I can get my brother to join. This one's called Good Luck. Streamlabs is playing with me. I don't know how many viewers I have. Let me see. Wow, 17 people. Awesome. Sleek is always listening. Sleek 2, the sleekening.
So anyways, this one's called Good Luck, but I don't think I'm going to read this one because it looks terrible, actually. Nah, it looks alright. We'll read it. So I already put the link in the description, in the chat there. I have just awakened from a deep sleep, not fully aware of how long my eyes have been closed. There was a dank, musty smell combined with, I don't know, maybe the scent of I don't know what that is. What is this? Creosote? I don't know. We're gonna say creosote. Anyways. The odor itself is ominous, foreboding, and almost seems to carry on its smelly back the presence of, well, I shudder to think of the presence of what exactly, but it's definitely there. I'm cold and I feel like I'm indoors, but my eyes don't seem to want to adjust to the environment. I can feel beneath me, under my ass, as I struggle to sit groggily, myself upright. Sorry. An old sofa or a big chair. It feels like it's finished in velour, with an evenly spaced buttons in the pattern of its surface. My heart rate's beginning to quicken. I'm beginning to hear a soft crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound of my own pulse and blood vessels somewhere near my eardrums. My breathing is shallow and quick. I feel as though I don't want to breathe in too much of this smell, this musty awfulness. And I feel as though, my God, please let there be some light. Please. Someone is here, not just in the room, but inches from my face. Dear God, in the pit of my stomach feels hollow. My heart even more so. I'm dead. That is the only conceivable answer. I'm dead and I've gone to hell. The devil himself is staring at me, no doubt grinning as he plots my eternal torture. I guess I wasn't the best guy in life, but I have to admit that I'm at least a little surprised to have been damned to hell for cheating on my wife once, and telling the pastor who presided over my mom's funeral that he can go F himself. He could. My mom was no saint, but there was no good reason to wish her luck getting into heaven. The bastard actually said good luck as they lowered her into that hole. I digress. I have a tendency to do that, especially when I'm nervous, and right now I'm scared shitless. It's been a good 10 minutes now and my eyes have adjusted to nothing, and I know that if I stick my hand up in front of my face, I'm gonna touch the face of the devil, the lights. They're slowly beginning to rise, and there's something else. Oh, for Christ's sakes, carnival music? It sounds like it's coming from an old Victrola. It's scratchy and occasionally skips. And it seems to void all of the joy that such oompa sounds from a merry-go-round naturally bring. It's sad. It's melancholy. Whatever that means, and yet it's just carnival music. This place, this room, clearly hasn't seen another person, a living one at least, in a good 80 years, maybe more, and yet the lights work. The GD Victrola plays. Wait. Someone had to turn all this crap on. It turns out that there was nothing directly in front of me. The devil isn't here.
I wonder if he does wear Prada. I'm digressing again. I told you, I do that when I'm nervous. Or at least, I think I did. I'm too nervous to remember, honestly. Though I fear to turn my head for what I might find, what I might see, what I might not be unable to see, or unsee, I'm sorry. I must have to summon strength, bury my fear, and find out where in God's name I am. It looks like some kind of formerly beautiful old Victorian-style living room. Everything is black and red. The high wing-backed chairs, the sofa I see that I'm sitting on, the red wallpaper that raises in the floor to the back black chair rail, and above that, I can't tell what the wall looks like. They've been repapered with posters advertising vaudevillian magic acts that look decades upon decades old. They've yellowed. They're fading. They're covered in dust and cobwebs, some of which stretch clear from the walls to the chandelier in the center of the room. Whoever this magician was, he was clearly proud of himself. I wonder what his wife thought of his gaudy display of ego ruining what could have been a lovely living space. Hell, she was probably his lovely assistant. But why she let him do all this? She was probably ugly as sin and just wanted him to flaunt his stupid little posters so he wouldn't throw her out. She's actually quite lovely, David. Jesus, there's someone in there. He knows my name, and it's no act of magic. He's reading my mind. He's in my head. I can see him as plain as day in my mind's eye. He's tall and thin. He's dressed in 1920s dark suit, graying hair and a cape. Under his right arm, I need someone to know this in case I don't make it out of here. His name is Mephistopheles the Great. My arms. Dear God in heaven, I cannot move my arms and my legs. And my mind, I've lost it too. I'm hearing voices. I cannot move. I can't think of myself. I cannot make this dream end. Now, David, calm. Be calm. I want to teach you one of my most famous works of magic. No magic. I just want to go home. I'm pretty sure I have to work tomorrow, or something. Maybe it's my weekend to see my daughter. I can't remember. And I'm sure as hell can't seem to make any move towards my God. There is no door. No, David, no doors. What I have you in is a box, the same box from which I conducted my most famous escape. And I'm going to teach you to perform this escape as well. You will either enter the box when I slid in front of you, and then... Let me try that again, that read weird. And I'm going to teach you to perform this escape as well. You will enter the box when I slide it in front of you, and then whoosh. It's a pine box. How did you slid it right in front of me, but you're not even, it looks like a, no matter what it looks like, when you escape from the box, you will be home. You swear, don't F with me, whatever your name is. I don't know how you got here, but I want out. I never want to see this place again. For Christ's sakes, let me go. I promise to never speak of this to anyone. Good. The lid just slowly opened in front of me. with no one else there. No one touched it, at least no one that I can actually see. Into the box, David hastily now. My arms and legs that hadn't worked are now working on their own, without my command. They lift me from the sofa. I take 2 steps to the edge of the box and then step in, left foot, right foot. I lay down. I slowly the lid begins to lower again without being touched, just as it had raised, and now it closes. Once again I find myself in complete darkness, and now there's banging, violent, loud banging, the box being nailed shut, starting near my head, and now 6 inches further down, 6 inches more, another 6, till I'm finally completely sealed. Mephistopheles, I've kept my word, I'm in the box. Now keep yours, damn it. How does this trick work? How do I get out of here and go home? You promised to tell me, Mephistopheles. Please, you promise. David? Yes. Good luck. No, you don't have to miss me. You can, they have internet out there. Oh, YouTube crashed? That's fine. How are you guys doing? I'm gonna chat with y'all for a little while. Let me turn on the light though. If I can find the dang switch. So I'm pretty excited. I have a job interview later next week. So, yay. And it is effing cold in my room. Did I have any snacks? No. I had candy and I ate it. I had chips and they're in my car. Oh well. What's the job? It's fixing security equipment at the airport. Something I'd probably be very good at. Yeah, it's whatever. I'm not super excited. It doesn't pay what I'm used to being paid, but I'll be able to have a life and still be able to stream. Oh yeah, still in a hotel. There's my hotel bed. There's my super cold hotel AC. Yep, I'm slowly burning through my savings. But yeah, well, appreciate it. Oh, Tom, I should hit 4,000 hours this stream. We got to work on getting me to 1,000 subs now. And someone pinged me. Oh. But yeah. You just said sweet pad, Chad? What's wrong with you? I don't even know you sometimes, Cianta. Do you take your septum piercing out for the interview? I do. I can take it out right now if you want. There it is. I can do this. I take my lip piercing out for the interviews, yeah. Doing the Maya one soon. Yeah, we gotta get Dad in here. I look naked without it. I'll put it back in for now. Knee? Knee to you, Delaney. Knee. Dad's on the moon right now. Hey, Go Fish, how you doing? Go fish, go fish, go fish. I was told that you should just, I told you that you should just do full-time, YouTube full-time. If it paid better, I would. Believe you me, I'd let you, I'd sit in front of my computer or do live streams while walking around. I feel like you can Google that. Like, to take an MRI? It says anywhere from $400 to $3,500. Yeah. Oh, in Canada? About $699 in Vancouver and about $875 in Victoria. Chappy versus the world. Creosote. Yeah, I know that word. What's that? What is creosote? I don't know. Chappy, hopefully you can start getting more donos after Super Chat, but gotta factor in losing half of that to YouTube fees and taxes. You've made a whole $2 in revenue. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really. Dun. I'm playing with the chair. I didn't fart. Y'all would know. Yeah. I mean, I'm not worried about donations or ad revenue or anything. I just want to be able to stream YouTube from my phone. That looks really freaking cool. I wonder if y'all can see this. It's like, it's my sunglasses just reflecting the light. And it's a cool looking blue. Sorry. This is why I read stories, because I go, ooh, squirrel. God bless you, Bridget. People, you're supposed to say God bless you when people sneeze. You've got $914 in medical bills you don't know how to pay. I wish I knew how to help you. Mo money, mo problems, Chappy. I mean, when I was making pretty good money, I didn't really have that many problems. I just worked and did karaoke on the weekends and streamed, and I was happy. What's my hair doing? This side. It's all twisted. Whatever. What did I used to do? Fix equipment in the oil field. Yeah, I don't know how to edit stuff. I know how to read. Thank you, Go Fish. It's good hair. I like it. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, I suppose. But that's also 192 of these streams that have to be edited. It's kind of painful. It'd be a full-time job for a while. Fluff out my hair. Get Premiere. It's super easy to use. It sounds expensive. Yeah, $239. I guess that's not that bad. I'll let you use my CC, Chappy. What do you mean? You can't find emojis with head hair, they're all bald. I do the streams. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I just like doing streams right now. If I land this job, I'll probably have time to start editing content. That Go Fish, that is beautiful. Oh. I mean, who's to say that's a female? It's a female though, but who's to say it's a female? I mean, besides whatever. Yeah, I'm not worried about getting the job. I'm pretty good at interviews. As was told to me, my superpower is talking to people. Sleek is offering. What is Adobe Creative Cloud? I mean, I'd give it a shot. Yeah. Yeah, Sleek will talk after the stream or tomorrow or something, if that's cool. I'd be down. But, yeah, I kind of want to be a computer tech, to be honest with you. There's better money in that than fixing X-ray machines. You're ridiculous, bud. I love you, horn dog. Don't you ever change. It's Adobe Premiere, but online. Oh, neat. I mean, it's not really that expensive. It's only $240. But, I mean, if you have it, I could try it and see if I'm any good at it. I mean, I haven't edited in almost 20 years. And I used to do it at a big machine. But yeah. I'm gonna go smoke, if that's cool with y'all. I'm gonna talk with y'all in the chat, if y'all don't mind. Even if you do, well, I mean, this is my last smoke for the night. You found some, just had to scroll. There you go, Go Fish. We can both use the Adobe suite. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm totally down to give it a shot. And I got a lot of videos to go through. a lot of videos to go through. I'm going to go from 192 streams to, oh Jesus, hundreds of stories. I will have way too many stories on my channel. And a lot of angry people from, what do you call it, creepypastas that I didn't give their recognition to, that I'll have to do. But yeah. So what is this? Does it belong over there? It does belong over there. What about this one? You belong over there too? Ow, 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 ow. My hair doesn't know what it wants to do. It's curling up. Cut that out. Whatever. Alright. I'm going to talk to y'all in the doobly doos. And, be right back. And maybe when I get back, we'll do one more story. Let's do, I like this one. Hello. You ate 3 Boston cream pies. Oh, my shoes. You can stream everywhere, near Mike's house, in Mike's yard, pressed up against Mike's windows, hiding in Mike's house, all over. What? What are y'all talking about? Jocko the Jazz Hand? What the hell? I'm going to look that up. I'm going to see if that's a real thing. I don't think it is. Furiously scrolling up. Home. Oh, there's a little search button right there. I'm sorry, bud. They don't have it anymore. You're going for 4,000. Gotta get them. Dang it. I know. That was my favorite one, bud. Oh, it's a real creepy story. This one's called A Story About a Dog. This will be the last story of the night. In fact, we'll start drinking the stuff now. How would I make money? So this is exactly how you do it, guys. You get your neuro sleep. This is a life hack. Your 2 Advil PMs. This stuff tastes like crap without sugar. Feels like it didn't go down. Alright, that's better. You're drinking a sleep drink later on. Make sure I lock that. My dang sight glass is all messed up. Sianta, you leaving? I'm getting zonked. Oh, is someone leaving? Who's leaving? You're drinking Bud Light and Clamato. I mean, everybody has their tastes, right? Yours are obviously broken, but it's fine, you know. Yeah, too many drugs. Tom, seriously though, if you really want to get some sleep, take 2 of those. Oh, see you later, Go Fish. I'm going to read this last story, and it's a story about a dog. I'll leave the lid off that. I'll drink that tomorrow. Seriously, feels like it's like right there. I've heard it said light.
Oh, Delaney. As you get older, you need to get zonked.
Bless it, it's cold in here. I like it. It's good for sleep. I've heard it said before that if you believe in angels, you must believe in demons as well. Well, I'm not sure if I truly believe that. I'm not sure if I truly believe that either really exists, and my learnings changed from mood to mood. But there are times when I wonder if there's something there watching us, cloaked in dark, hating us. When I've felt the presence of something I couldn't see, when instincts overrode logic and I couldn't close my eyes or turn back to it because I just didn't know, I can say with a certain amount of confidence that everyone has felt this way at some point in their life, with varying degrees of intensity and frequency. But that's not what this is about. Not entirely, anyway. When I let myself believe in such things, I realize that it started around 10 years ago when I spent a week at my aunt and uncle's house. They lived several hours away from me, from my own home. And this was something I'd always hated, seeing as their children were only the ones in the family anywhere close to my age. There were plenty of movies, games, and other activities to keep me occupied during my stay, bookending my experience in a way that nearly erased it from my thoughts altogether. Afterwards, it had seemed such a small thing to me that I mentioned it to no one. It was late at night, at some point in the middle of my stay, when I woke quiet suddenly in my bed for seemingly no reason at all, and I couldn't fall back asleep. Even after what seemed to be hours of laying in the dark, defeated, I decided to get up and move around, maybe get a glass of water before trying again. I looked at the clock and noticed that it was very late, early morning in fact, 3-something it said. But what could I do? Sorry. As I walked out into the hallway, I noticed that it didn't feel quite right. A bit sick in my stomach and slightly anxious, unsettled. I turned on every light I came across, but maybe it was only my childish fear of the dark getting the best of me. I was only 11 at the time, after all. Despite my attempts to reason my dread away, to banish it as I had done the dark, the feeling persisted all the way to the kitchen. I needed to calm down if I was to get any further sleep that night. I got myself a glass, I filled it from the tap. I sat down at the kitchen table. I felt a bit lonely, knowing that I was the only person awake in the house, and I disliked looking at the empty chairs. So I turned my gaze to the large glass doors instead, the impenetrable pitch of the night blocking the backyard from view. I couldn't see anything out there, but I froze instantly, instinctively. I was being watched. Something was approaching the doors, the windows. I couldn't see it, but it could see me clearly. With all the light flooding in the kitchen, I was bathed in it, completely exposed, but I couldn't see out. Everything was awful. I wanted to run, but I couldn't make myself move an inch, not even to look away. All these flimsy, hateful walls, a thin pane of glass. What good any of them to do? Nothing. Somewhere was safe, or nowhere was safe, and it was coming. Soon enough, I can make out the shape. It was at eye level with me on all fours. I couldn't see it with my eyes, not physically, but something in me inexplicably knew it was there. I knew what it looked like and how it moved. Closer still, I could distinguish its features. Thick, matted fur against a black night, a chain around its throat and yellow eyes that stared at me through the glass. Its teeth and maw were dripping with saliva. It was a large dog. It wasn't, and it wasn't at the same time. It stopped just outside the door and glared at me. Snarls ripped from its throat. But I couldn't hear any of it, not really. I was too terrified to move, paralyzed by its malevolent gaze. It's not real, I thought. Just get up and walk away, go back to bed. Eventually I did. I left my water on the table, full and tepid. I crept quietly up the stairs. I felt as if any sudden movements might set it off. So I did everything slowly and carefully until I was lying in bed. Despite my expectations, I was able to fall asleep relatively quickly. I don't think I even dreamed. In the morning, with the light of day and presence of other people around me, the whole thing can be written off as a figment of my imagination. I was obviously spooked by something from the moment I got up, so it wasn't that far-fetched that my mind would play such a trick on me. I didn't say anything to anyone, simply because I didn't think it was anything significant. I mean, what even happened? I didn't exactly forget about it, but I didn't let it worry me either. It wasn't even something to move on from, just a strange thing to happen. Life went on. The next few weeks were difficult and rather hard on my family, financially, emotionally, and health-wise as well. We got along well, even though our house was foreclosed on. We switched towns, switched schools, moved to a much smaller house as we waited for things to get better. I was 14 and started high school when things started to settle down again. I didn't exactly approve of the new home. My brother and I lived downstairs in the basement, and our rooms shared a wall. We enjoyed each other's company well enough, so it wasn't that bad spending so much time with each other. But there were times where he could get on my nerves. I would often stay up rather late reading in my room. I eventually came to notice a strange clicking noise coming from his bedroom every couple nights, around midnight. It sounded as if he was flicking his light on and off. But why would he do that? I decided to leave him be for a while, but the thing is, the more I noticed it, the more it started to bother me. I came to expect it to happen almost every night. A couple of weeks later, he was keeping me up at night wondering what my brother thought he was doing, waiting until it would eventually stop. After a bit of internal debate, I decided to just ask him to please stop. Perhaps not so nicely, though. However, when I knocked and opened his door, I found his room dark, and my brother himself in bed, apparently fast asleep. How strange. I closed the door and returned to my room. The odd noise persisted. The next day, I decided I was going to do a little experiment. Something must be making this noise after all. I told my brother that I noticed and asked him to go around the basement and click various things, lights, doors, anything. Well, I waited and listened to my room for the sound that matched the one I was hearing at night. Turns out it was the light in the little closet in the boiler that had been attached to his room. There was a bare bulb inside, and the pulling of the chain made the noise. I'd been hearing that at night. There was no further explanation to be found. Soon after, my brother started reporting strange dreams and an eerie feeling he was being watched, even during the day. I assured him this was in response to our discovery and mentally dismayed, while it outwardly showed my support and sympathy. Until I started to experience the same sort of thing. I would wake up at night paralyzed with fear, sometimes coming out of disturbing nightmares. Other times out of perfectly normal sleep. I could no longer fall asleep with my back exposed. I found myself unable to bear leaving the door open at night. During the day I felt paranoid, always looking over my shoulder waiting for something to hurt me. Weeks later, something finally happened to me. While I was lifting my foot to climb the stairs and join my family for a meal, not a single thought in my head, I was suddenly awash with terror. I ran to the door at the top of the stairs, frightened out of my wits for no apparent reason. When I stepped into the daylight, I turned around and looked behind me. It was there, at the bottom of the stairs, watching me. That dog. I knew it was there, but I couldn't see it, just like before. I closed the door and walked into the kitchen. No one saw or heard anything of my momentary panic. I didn't feel like enlightening them, not even my brother. Strange noises are fine, a creepy, unexplainable thing. But you're seeing phantom dogs now? Liar. Stupid, overreactive imagination. Calm the hell down. I didn't want to go back down there ever, but eventually I just got in the habit of feeling constant dread. That's just normal. Cringing away from empty air, normal. Nightmares again, totally normal. My parents started arguing a lot. Dad would leave, going out on walks to clear his head. Gone for so long, we'd start to wonder if he was ever coming back. We moved again, switched towns, switched schools. My grades went down the toilet. My real-life problems chased the unnatural fear away. Everything sort of peaked and slowly started to get better over the course of the next year. My aunt and uncle came to town, and we went to lunch one day. The conversation was lighthearted enough between the siblings and cousins until my brother brought up the weird happenings in our old house. My cousin latched onto this and told us a few paranormal stories of their own. One day she said she was playing with her friends in their old backyard when she heard a noise. She said she didn't really hear it exactly, but she knew the sound. When she looked up, she saw a great big dog with a jingling chain around its neck. She had screamed and run inside with her mom, crying uncontrollably and completely inconsolable. She said she didn't really understand what happened. Feeling distinctly unsettled, I asked her what the dog looked like. Big and black, she said. With shaggy fur. Yellow eyes, I asked. Yes, yellow eyes. It was bigger than a normal dog, taller. I saw the dog too when I was staying at your house. I told them the short little story of how I woke up and saw a big scary dog through the doors in the kitchen. We thought it was fun, this strange coincidence. Apparently, it was around the same time as well. What was going on then? I wondered aloud. Well, that was right around the time a close relative started to get dangerously sick. That was right before my mom and dad's business started going down. An uncle lost his job. My various family couples started fighting. Then we lost the house. But then things started to get better until it showed up again. What if... No way. This was just a figment of my imagination and hers, a coincidence. There was no demon dog following us around bringing us misfortune to our family. No way. Demons aren't real. Angels. aren't real either. There's nothing watching from the shadows, waiting while people sleep. There can't be, because if there is, I don't think I could ever feel safe again. Shh, there's nothing there. Saying it doesn't help much when I can feel it so strongly watching, its gaze prickling all along my spine. What if our eyes aren't seeing anything that's really here? And there was something in the dark that just wants to spread pain and misery. There would be no reason. There would be no reasoning with such things, no fighting. So they can't be real. Hey, Mads. Well, you just, that was my last story. But you got until I can finish my drink. I don't think I'm chugging this one. See ya, Sianta. I missed it. Horn dog, you're disgusting. Hit the end. Oh, that's fine. You can replay it. I mean, hell. I'm just kidding. I may have well hit 4,000 hours today. That burp, though. My nipples are hard. It's cold in here. I think I have that thing set to 62. I like when it's cold. Let's go to my watch time. Why do I not understand any of this? Hang on a second. Analytics. That's the one. Congrats on getting there. Well, thank you. I don't know if I hit it today, but I should have. It says 234.03. Let me see. I typed it earlier. Let me go way up. Oh, it doesn't go way up. But I have my calculator. Oh, let's see what 234.03 says. Yeah, I was at 3,840 hours. That's a lot of hours. And just yesterday, I got 2,200 or 2,200 minutes. Whatever. So I'm going to get there. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Apparently people feel strongly about my videos that I need to edit them. So I'm probably going to start working on editing videos. So they're blocks of stories. Happy endurance? Do you mean the 4,000 hours? Because really, my first stream was I think it was January 20th. So I've only been doing this since January. So I mean, that's pretty good. 7 months to hit 4,000 hours. And I kind of, you can see on the graph where I stopped streaming so much. But yeah. But anyways, so what's good with you guys? Good streams though. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm still learning how to read, but I'll get there eventually. Dang it.
about time for the 4,000 hours. I know. And I did most of it with like hardly any subs. With like guys like, or people like Lauren and Bridget. Horndog was here, and Pip. There's so many people. I mean, it was like a good core of like 15 people. Ernie, David, rest in peace, Ernie, and all that stuff. Updating live. What does that mean? Update live. I want to know how many hours I'm at. Whatever. Wacky watch. What? Oh, did y'all hear that? But yeah, freaking. Yee. So Sleek, you still here, bud? Lauren, how are things with you? I hope things are good. James, I hope things are good. Mads, how have you been? Do you mind? I swear to God, if something answered me, I'd pee myself. I'd probably poop too. -10? You're doing -10? Did you find your hole in the ground? Seriously. There's a lot of prostitutes in this place. I swear to God, if any of them bring guns. Great, working and traveling. Awesome. Oh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Lauren. I mean, good news? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm here, still can't breathe. Sleek, are you smoking the ganj? Is that why you can't breathe, or are you sick? Stay away if you're sick. I don't need to get sick right now. I have a perfect neck beard. If this were just all right here. It's like if it were... Oh God, that's disgusting looking. I'm gonna shave all this off. Oh, that looks so bad. Makes like an M. It's weird. Just leave your face up and read like that. You have sinus allergies. You know what I love taking? I load up on Dayquil and then pop some sinus meds, and I am. No, it means your body is doesn't know what to do with the pollen in the air. Oh, I just popped my fingers. That felt good and hurt at the same time. Oh. But yeah. So kind of sick. I mean, I guess you feel like poop. I know what that feeling, like your head feels like it weighs 1,000,000 pounds, and you're kind of drowsy, but and it's weird and it's itchy, and oh, I hate the itchy right here. Oh, I hate the itchy. That's the worst. Yeah, look at me going till 10 o'clock. I knew that happened. I knew it. How about this face, just like this? If I just talk like this, just barely move my lips, just like this. Didn't move my eyes either. I don't know. Pollen is just airborne flower jizz. It is.
It's gross. But it is. The tree's going. Everyone, F your nose, F your sinuses. Sleek, you should get what they call a neti pot. It looks like a little teapot, and you stick it in your nose, and it drains water through your sinus and out your mouth. It's really gross, but they help. Don't use tap water, and if you do, make sure it's saline additive. I was driving a golf cart one day and drove through some uncut hay, and the pollen went in my eyes, and my eyes swelled shut. Oh, Mads, you got a blinky. I'm sorry. Oh, you got a money shot from a tree. Burt's Bees. Good old Burt's Bees. It's good for them lips. It's in my luggage somewhere, so it's like right here. But I can't find it right now, so maybe if I do a stream tomorrow, maybe I'll have some. Yeah, I bet that was terrible, man. Teach you to drive through hay. You used the neti pot twice so far? Yeah, then stop using it. Don't keep using it. Or get a Navage. I don't know. It uses suction to... I don't know. And just get some medicine, bro. That's all I can tell you. Unless you're one of those weirdos that's like, no medicine, body, fight it. No, medicine will help you. Some antihistamines or whatever they call them. That'll hook it up, bro. But, yeah. So we've gone for 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11. I'm going to stop doing that. It'll make me go forever. But, yeah. So, I probably hit 4,000. That's awesome. You know I do it like this? Because I feel like I'm going to punch something. Because anytime I stand up and I do stuff like this, I punch stuff. Once a day for the meds? Yeah. I don't know, man. That's rough. My heart goes out to you. It seems like every couple years I'll get the crud or something. Or like I just got rid of something. I got rid of the crud from that damn, what do you call it? The too many games. Jesus. Yeah. Gonna go get some Claritin. Neti pot once a day. Oh man. F the crud. Yes, the crud is the worst. Or a summer cold. Summer colds are pretty bad. The too many games crud. Mads, were you at too many games? I don't know who all was. There was a lot of people there. But yeah, it just felt heavy in my lungs. Ugh. Every time I breathed, it was like. I don't know how the flapping used to. The snot in your lungs. What's the word I'm looking for? Mucus. God bless it, I couldn't remember that word.
Yeah, thanks. I had to Google snot in lungs. I'm not proud of that. Yay, 4,000 hours. I don't know if I hit it, but if I did, that's cool. I feel like it should be a little like dun da da da. Congratulations. I don't get anything special until I hit 1,000, where I can turn on ads for people that don't use ad block. I don't know. Or pay for YouTube like I do. Snot in lungs. Yeah. That's how I found the word mucus. I knew it was something like that. I couldn't make that gap. Mucus is just a gross word. Snot in lungs does not sound nearly as bad. I think I'm starting to get tired. I'll start yawning soon, but I'm probably gonna go smoke another one. But yeah. I'm gonna stop that. So yeah, if you guys want to hear any stories, I have a Discord. It's in the doobly-doos underneath. I mean, I don't care if you like or subscribe, or I mean, I do care if you subscribe. You don't have to like. I don't care. I mean, I guess I do because it gets more. Whatever. I'm not gonna get into that. Go to the Discord. In my Discord, I have a channel. Yeah. A room. It's called Creep Factory. I don't remember it called the Creep Factory. Put links to stories in there that you want me to read, and I will look them. I will read them, and I'll let you know if I'll do them or not. And I mean, because there's just some stories I'm not prepared to do. Maui Wowie. I'm not sure what that means. Is that weed? Discord. Discrod. Shout out. But yeah, there's people in there being stupid right now, spamming my Pokebot. Someone else posted bulgogi. Oh god, I love bulgogi. I love Korean food. It's so good. I know that's a flattering face I can make. All the ladies wet from that face. That was probably the least flattering thing I could ever say. Yeah, stupid people to talk to 24/7 all day long. I'm there. I mean, I'm probably one of the stupider ones. But yeah, if y'all find a story you want, put it in the Discord. That looks white, but it's not. It's that color. And yeah, if it's not like 2 hours long, because the first story I read was seriously like an hour, I think. But yeah, so I usually stream around 6 or 7. Mads, join the Discord and you'll know when I'm streaming. Or hit the little bell icon. I mean, I don't know if that thing even works anymore. I think it works for like 2 people, and that's it. And then it doesn't work on like a Wednesday or something. What's today? Today's Thursday. Ooh. Yeah, I'll stream a little bit earlier tomorrow because I'm going to go drinking tomorrow night. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I want to read the long stories. I do. I really do. But they're so long. And I don't know what to do with my hands. That would be so weird if something grabbed my fingers. Kind of like this. But yeah, guys. I love that y'all are here. Thanks for visiting.
Guys, if you don't know who Mads is, y'all should check his channel out. He's got 932 subscribers. He does really cool videos. Ouija board live sessions, haunted 136-year-old cabin in the woods. Super awesome stuff. Super awesome stuff. So if you can't get your creepy fix from me, get it from Mads. Definitely. They know how to do it. They're good at what they do. I love their content. But like always, guys, I gotta draw this to an end. You know I love you. But I gotta get some sleep.